Hello, everybody. This is Michael Condon representing the TooMedToo's Star Wars Network, and this is the Bacta tank. And we have possibly technical difficulties, not really sure yet, because we're just trying to get it figured out, I guess. We got Royal Farm Boy coming in, but I'm not sure if he can hear me or not. Let's see here. Comments. Mr. Rez, can you hear me? This is the $1 million question. Oh, and Anthony just cut out. So I'm waiting to see. All right. Well, we have with us the ambassador also. Hello, ambassador.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. We have Royal Farm Boy. He just got his computer back, and he's trying to figure out he can't hear or get. He's not having any sound coming through.
Uh-oh, that's no good.
So we're just trying to figure that out with him real quick.
Okay, no worries.
And see if I don't know. You're plugged in and your volume's on and everything. Oh, he can't hear me anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
You might try talking to him in the private chat. See, okay, never mind. He went away.
That's what I was about to do. But.
Yeah. Well, and to everybody coming into the chat, welcome. Mr. Rez, hello. Kylo Ren, Flores, greetings. Adam, or Andy, excuse me, welcome. Glad y'all decided to join us this evening, and I am honestly glad to be here on TooMedToo's. So, my first time, and hopefully not my last time. So.
No, I've chatted with you before a few times on Darth Lunga's stream, and
yeah, great order.
You're
great counsel.
Welcome. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's pretty much if you like Star Wars and you can carry on a coherent, respectful conversation, everyone's invited. That's
absolutely. I am nothing if not intelligent and respectful. Only rarely do I ever actually go on a rant, but that's only against the stupid and narrow-minded.
Well, I've been known to be disrespectful, but it's usually in a joking manner. So,
well, that's called sarcasm, and I appreciate a good I appreciate good sarcasm. So, yeah. So, and unfortunately, there are so few people in the world who do appreciate good sarcasm.
Yeah. Some people are a little bit too sensitive, but
they're what you call the woke or snowflakes. So, and I don't have low tolerance for them, but I have very little sympathy. So, but that's just me. I'm wacky that way.
I mean, I make fun of everybody, so it doesn't really matter. I was probably watching these comedians before I should have, but I grew up in the 80s listening or, HBO watching Carlin and Eddie Murphy and Sam Kinison and, watching Blazing Saddles. So it was kind of like, and Monty Python. So there was really, it's like, if there's no hate in your heart, it doesn't really count as being against someone if it's in a joking manner. It's kind of the way I feel. And
yeah, I am the same way. And dude, you just hit on all my funny bones because Carlin, Kinnison, Eddie Murphy, Blazing Saddles, F. Mel Brooks. I don't know if you caught it or not, but my stream last weekend or weekend before last, I did my Python, the Holy Grail.
Yeah, I was working. I caught the end of it on the train ride home. And
we are the knights who will say
Yeah. And I'm still working as of right now. We aren't closing, and I haven't been told of my hours to cut. They might cut back on hours a little bit. Instead of us closing at 10, we might be closing at 7 or 8. I'm not really sure, but that's kind of it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because who knows how long this thing is going to go on for, and who knows what's going to happen, and if there's going to be some kind of package that's given, whether it's through employers that then get discounts and reimbursed to say, okay, whatever you give your employees, you know, the government's going to reimburse you or lower your tax rate or do this and that. For example, you know, if you work 1 day a week, or you know, whatever your average paycheck is, whether it's, you know, for 1 week or 2 weeks, you know, if my job wants to go ahead and pay me for the entire time that they're closed or we miss work, it's going to be a tax write-off, or however they work it, or if they want to do it out of the goodness of their heart, or as an unemployment. But if they cut my hours back, so instead of working 35 or 40 hours a week, if I go on to, you know, half shifts, I'm not going to get unemployment. And you have, if I'm working at least 3 days, I'm not going to get unemployment. So it all depends on how they kind of work it and do it. You know, you could end up getting really, really screwed, or it could end up being all right. So right now I'm not really too worried about it, because
well, and here's the thing. This is just my own personal prognostication, and I think all the doctors and everything that are on that task force that Trump put together are pretty much on point, and I think he's on point as well. I think this thing runs itself out maybe July, maybe August, or they get a handle on it, one of the two. Because as many proactive steps as they are taking to try and minimize exposure for everybody, they're going to be able to, what they say, flatten the curve on it. And I'm going to probably do a video or a stream on this sometime this week. I might even do it tomorrow. I'm a person of faith, and I'm a Christian, just to put it out there. And I know everybody's worried, and justifiably so. I get that. But the world and humanity have been through far worse than this, and we've gotten through it, and we'll get through this too. So I understand everybody's reservations. I understand everybody's concerns. They've got multiple concerns. Some people have family. Some people have family that might be vulnerable to this virus. I get that. I wholeheartedly and genuinely do. But the United States and the world have faced a lot worse than this. And humanity and the world have kept on spinning. So I think this might be a protracted hiccup, but it'll be a hiccup that will eventually pass.
I just think with you know, being in New York City, if they were going to start shutting everything down, they should have done it last week. They did it. They did it too late. And you know, like the study that just came out, or if you look at the number of confirmed cases and the number of deaths, it was at 5%. And each day when it comes out, the number of confirmed and the number of deaths, it keeps dropping and dropping and dropping, because those were the first cases. So people didn't know they were sick, and the elderly getting sick. So, you know, it's one of those things. Like, I do think it's something serious, but
I agree too. Yeah.
You know, like I had to go to the doctor today for, I get medicine for my back, and I have to go every month to, you know, pee in a cup and make sure I'm taking my medicine and not selling it, and making sure I'm not doing other drugs and whatever it is, so that I can get my medicine. And I went there today, and, you know, he was wearing a mask because he had a cough this weekend, and he took a test, or was going to be taking a test, but until the results come back or whatever, he's got to wear the mask and do whatever. And you know, he's kind of like the same thing. It's, you know, it's serious for some groups, but not really that bad. It's just, you know, and people make fun of me because this is my thing. It's like, if you have the flu, you don't go visit your grandmother at the hospital, or at the nursing home, or a loved one that, you know, or go visit your nieces and nephews that are newborns or whatever. And it's just, you know, here in New York City, like, you Times Square, where it's all tourists, is dead. All the restaurants over there, besides the fact that now they can only do takeout and delivery, well, nobody lives there. So there's not getting any takeout and delivery. So they're all closing for 2 weeks, which means all those bartenders and servers are now out of a job. And whether or not they, report all their tips or not is irrelevant. Most of them do nowadays because there's so much credit cards in there. It's not like it used to be years ago where, you said you made $10 and it really made $300 or $400. Now you can't really fudge those that much because it's all on credit cards. But you're not going to get a paycheck or for that first week for unemployment, and it's going to be a month before you get anything for unemployment. So all these people that are now going to be out of work, and I'm just using that because those are the people that are closing down first. And things like that.
I used to work food service, so I know exactly what it is. I know what that's like to live kind of hand to mouth and everything, particularly if you are a waiter or a bartender or whatever. Now, granted, I was never a bartender, I was a waiter, so I do understand that because you don't take home that money every night. You're going to be hurting and everything with all these places that are closing down, and I can't imagine how worrisome that can truly be. So for me, I do understand. I'm not ignorant of the difficulties that this whole situation creates for everybody. But the thing I say is this will pass. I mean, it's going to be hard getting through it right now, but I imagine later this year we'll be looking back on this and going, whew, we dodged a bullet. Because this could have been a lot worse. This could be as bad as they've got over in Italy, and Italy's got it bad. Or this could have been bad as it was in China, where this whole mess started, and it was bad there.
Well, and that's where my other thing, not trying to downplay this, but you're getting the results coming from, and I've said this before, when you get rid of your big cities in China is pretty much a third world country when you get rid of your coastal cities, where it takes you 2 days or 3 days to walk to a doctor. Forget having to get, waiting 2 days or 3 days to get an appointment. It takes you a couple days to walk to a doctor or whatever it is. So, I mean, if you get rid of your majority of the big cities, or you get rid of your big cities, China's pretty much a third world country. So your death rate, of course, is going to be high there, especially when it came out. Oh, yeah. And then the government's trying to hide it. Not going to get into the debate on how it started and whether it was government or, whatever, because no one really knows. Well, as Rural Farm Boy would say, somebody knows, but we don't know.
Very true.
And the other one I heard, for all you conspiracy nuts, and I'll get to my conspiracy in a second, but their death rate, of course, is much higher. Yeah. And yes, like I just stated, we have more confirmed cases, but the death, it's lowering the death rate. Well, you have to wait a couple more days to go and see how the death rate goes up, because those confirmed cases take a few days to die or a few weeks to die. So, me saying, well, more people, the death rate's dropping, it is dropping, but it still takes a few days for it to go. So you have to take, give it 3 or 4 days. So on whatever the confirm rates were on Thursday of last week, and do that death rates to now to compare it. You can't really do, today's rates are that's good. It's statistics. You can spin statistics however you want. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, so the conspiracy theory, and I've been convincing people of this at work. Trump started this virus. And with his defunding of the CDC and everything, he wasn't really defunding it. He was reallocating the funds to make this virus, just like the $12,000 for a hammer and toilet seat or whatever. That's why it's named coronavirus, to get the Mexicans, and he put it in China to get rid of. Oh, hang on, it gets better. He put it in China to destabilize the Chinese government and ruin their trade, so the American trade can come back up. And that's why he's not worried. He's not worried about it until. He's not worried about it, and was telling everyone not to worry about it. It's going to blow over. It's a hoax, until he realized that he can't just be nonchalant. So now he's got to pretend he's worried about it, and then we're going to come out with a vaccine or a cure for it way before everybody else, and then he's going to be reelected president. So I've been convincing people at work that, and they're like, "You really think that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's really what's going on." And
You're evil.
And it's just,
You're just a little evil, but I like it. You're like Loki. You're a mischievous evil, manner of speaking. You don't really get anybody killed. You just cause a lot of mayhem.
yeah. So that's my thing I got. But I can't believe more people are going with it. Let's see if Rural Farm Boy's ready to come in here again.
All right.
Are you there, Anthony? Can you hear me?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of our mouths?
To
quote a favorite movie of mine. Nope. Take Nabbit. I love his hat. I have a hat much like that.
Okay. Nope.
Take Nabbit. Concerned all the heck. He is old prospector talk.
Yeah, he talks like one too.
I've heard him, I respect it. So
well, there he goes again. So he's out now.
Well, blast it all to hell.
So if anybody else wants to hear, I'll just put it down here in the chat. Anybody else wants to come in and chat with us? Everybody's welcome. We can always kick them out.
Gee, thanks.
Like that, Mr. Rez. No, I've only had one real troll in here, and it's somebody that I kind of had a problem with. And he's been in this chat, and I don't even know if he's kicked out of here or not, but he got. That's why I actually have a couple of people that are mods in here now.
Yeah.
Like I have two, and it's because Rural Farm Boy, and not that other people, I haven't given other people mods. I don't really need anybody, so I just had that one time, that one problem, and it's somebody else that he's part of the Fandom Menace, and he's been in other chats that I've been in, and if you ignore him, he kind of stops, and every once in a while starts back up, and so, but yeah, that's about it. So let's see.
Yeah. Have you stupid question. Have you watched episode 4 of Clone Wars?
Yes.
Have you discussed it all, or is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, that's whatever you want to talk about. Basically, Ambassador, what this is like, it's like if you were to go meet your friends at the bar or the pub, and you're going to sit down at a table and talk about Star Wars, whatever you want to talk about is fair game.
Oh, okay.
So that's.
No, I actually had the opportunity. This past weekend I watched. Okay. What in the world was that?
Charlie Skywalker. We can hear you.
You are coming in loud and clear, sir.
Awesome. How are we doing
funky
tonight?
Doing just fine. How are you doing?
We're good. Except for Rural Farm Boy. He's having some technical difficulties. And so Charlie, you changed your name on Twitter.
I did. Had to do a reset. So, but that's all right.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a story behind that or something. Then there was some other. Maybe there was some guy whose name is really Charlie Skywalker and offered you some money for it, and it was like, okay. I wasn't really sure.
Oh, that would have been nice, but no such luck there.
Well, Charlie, I don't think I've ever actually streamed with you before, but good to meet you. So,
I think I'm having some technical difficulties. Must be some coronavirus in my interwebs or something.
Oh no, it's mutated again. We're all gonna die.
Yeah, we got Charlie Skywalker and Rural Farm Boy are. Yeah, Anthony's spreading around the interwebs.
We're all doomed. It's gonna be known as a rural farm boy virus.
Yeah, but I mean, as of right now, there he goes. He kind of pops in and out. I think he's usually right now. He's in New Mexico, so he's a couple hours behind. So he's usually coming home from work right now.
Gotcha.
And so he's usually in the car, and then he usually comes home. And sometimes he pops back on. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he's making dinner for the kids and chatting that way. It's kind of more of a
I hear you.
More of a free for all around here. So, but yeah. So I'm planning on, if I do have to start taking some time off, doing some more streaming. So worse things could happen, and get caught up on some editing that I'm behind. But all right, so Clone Wars.
Yeah, this was I'm honestly not surprised they did a 4 episode arc on this one to open up this season. And honestly, I think most of the time when they've done 4 episode arcs, the season's usually been somewhat better. So I'm honestly looking forward to, because you got a lot of time with these characters for this arc. And everybody got time, which I'm very impressed with. I mean, if you went and binge these first 4 episodes, it's just like one long episode. It's a pretty good arc. It's a pretty good story, and everybody gets their time. You get time with the Bad Batch. You get time with what they call the Regs, with Rex and Cody and everything. You get time with the. You don't get as much time with the Jedi in this arc. You get a little bit and everything. But overall, I was very pleased with the whole through line of this arc and everything, and how they opened up this season, because this was a very clone-centric story arc. In a manner of speaking, I mean, yeah, you had moments with Obi-Wan and Mace and Anakin and everything, which are usually your big 3 right there. It'll be interesting to see what the next episode entails. I'm guessing they'll bring Ahsoka back in, being they've pretty much. I don't know if this was the final episode we're on the Anaxis front or not, but I am very much intrigued with how they've evolved the clones over the last 7 seasons of the show thus far. And they've really given a lot of depth and a lot of character to Rex. He's kind of like our POV clone and everything character. And if you look at him from the first episode to the 4th, there's some real growth there. There's some real evolution, not to mention his relationship trying to reconnect with Echo here in this last episode of this arc. Mm-hmm. And I liked Echo's resolution, in a manner of speaking, because he ends up going off with the Bad Batch. I don't think we're necessarily spoiling everything. I imagine most everyone's watched the episode by now. If they've not, folks, spoilers. Heads up. Spoilers now. Turn your sound off if you don't want to hear this.
Yeah, it's kind of most people in here know that if it's we start talking about I usually don't say, hey, there's going to be a spoiler, but we start talking about Clone Wars. If it's aired, it's going to be talked about, especially with you had the weekend to watch it, and not saying not trying to say screw you that you didn't watch it over the weekend, just or the book comes out tomorrow. And we'll be talking about it next week because I have a New York State test I have to go for tomorrow for work, and then I have to work. So I don't know how much I actually get through the book, but I'll have it done by Wednesday afternoon, and we'll be talking about it next week on here. I didn't really talk too much about the little things that came out because I didn't read them myself, and although I believe they're in the book, I don't know what context there's before or after, so it's kind of like showing a scene from a movie and expecting everyone to know that that's what the entire movie is about. I mean, it's a little bit different, but when you only show 3 sentences of a page and say this is what it's meant, well, let me read it for myself. But all right, I'm sorry. I go back to what you're saying.
You're fine. You're good. You're good, Condor. You're good. I like the fact that there was actually some distrust between the Bad Batch and Echo for obvious reasons, because he had been under separatist control for heaven only knows how long. And I will say the design of Echo, this new design for Echo, was actually very intriguing because it very much plays into a lot of the cybernetics that we've seen in the past in Clone Wars and in Star Wars in general, because he's obviously got those cybernetic legs that very much harken back to what Maul had when after he had gone to what's that planet that the Night Sisters, Dathomir, and he gets healed by Mother Talzin, and she repairs his legs and everything, and they've got those claw appendages on the end. I like the probe, the computer probe that they replace his one arm with, and everything, and you genuinely felt bad for Echo because of all the stuff that was done to him. But he takes it, he owns it. He's like, this is what I am now. This is how I function. I'm not the normal clone anymore. And eventually, at the end of the episode, he does going off with the Bad Batch because he has earned their trust, because they realize he is not like any normal clones anymore. And even Rex says, "Look, if this is the way you feel you should go, then go." And he ends up going off with the Bad Batch. Something I've been meaning to talk about, but I really haven't had a chance to and everything. I've only done a review of the first couple episodes. I like the design. I found the design of the Bad Batch's shuttle interesting because it very much harkens back to Palpatine's shuttle from Revenge of the Sith. Now, the key difference is it does have the TIE Fighter solar panels on the wings and everything. And obviously the fuselage and everything is modified and everything for the Bad Batch. But I honestly found that interesting. You almost get the feeling that the Bad Batch is under the command or the control of Palpatine, possibly, or under the control of the Senate to a certain extent. Because this is not your normal transport for a squad of clone commandos or clone troopers or whatever, even though they're not, they're modified, they're mutated clones. The Bad Batch, I think they're going to be eventually involved in some very shady dealings, because can you imagine what a team like that could do to, well, during Order 66? I mean, think about it. They are honestly, and matter of speaking, they are, their skill sets are all geared towards essentially or potentially hunting Jedi. Because if you look at their skill sets for each member, you got Wrecker the Muscle, you got Hunter, who's the very instinctual, very leader oriented, very melee combat oriented leader. You've got Tech, who's the tech expert, and you've got, of course, Crosshair, the sniper. These are skill sets that would be very difficult and anything for a singular Jedi or a group of Jedi to combat on their own, because this is not your atypical clone squad. I mean, even if you look at the makeup of the squad and everything from Republic Commando, the game and everything that came out before Revenge of the Sith did, the team dynamic for that squad of clone commandos is almost the template that they used for the Bad Batch, except in this case now you have another tech expert and everything in Echo. So.
I was listening to you. I was trying to find.
No, you're fine.
So the next episode of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka befriends a pilot, but must hide her Jedi past while trying to stop a dangerous droid.
Okay.
So this is where we're gonna get into
where Ahsoka's been.
Yeah. So like a lot of people wanted more Jedi action going on, or whatever it was, and not so much on the clones. I couldn't believe they wasted 4 episodes on them. But I mean, that's what the original arc was, so they didn't really deviate from it that much. And now you still have another 8 episodes of Ahsoka, Jedi, Mandalore, probably all mixed together. Because you have to
go ahead.
You have to bring Ahsoka back so that she can fight Darth Maul, which we already know happens. We have an idea of what happens, but this is where you get a little bit of who, we need to see now what happens, because in the book, it makes it seem like she traps him, and like leaves or flees, like to escape or whatever it was. And Rebels, he makes it seem like she ran away. He was going to win, so she ran away. So now we actually find out, this is kind of the in between, what happened between the book and Rebels, and this is what you kind of really have to take. You have her version and his version, and this is what really happened. I think is going to be more along those ways.
Because you get the feeling that they were on that planet where that Sith temple was or whatever, and they end up fighting there, and then she ends up leaving. I guess is a matter of speaking or anything. That's my guess. So
because when she's in Rebels, when after Maul tricks Ezra, and then Ezra, because it's I think season 3.
I think it's either season 3 or season 4.
I don't think it's the I don't
no, it's not at the very end.
No. But it's where they have to work with Maul to defeat the
Inquisitors.
The Inquisitors. So, but Maul says, running away like you always do, Lady Tano, or something along those lines.
That's the exact line. Yeah.
So, we'll find out, because the book Ahsoka was from her point of view, and now we know his point of view is that she ran away, and I mean so we're gonna find out what the real story, what happened, I guess now. But someone also mentioned, I don't know who it was, I think it was maybe Andy, that Mace is now with Anakin. And Obi-Wan, because that's their way of keeping tabs on him, because they know his defiance and how powerful he is.
Well, and I actually watched a video. It was done by Star Wars Theory on that scene where Anakin is on the Separatist capital ship with General Trench, and I honestly loved that scene, truth be told, because it very much gives you an idea of how far Anakin has kind of has started to stray away from the Jedi path. And he gets very dark on General Trench. He gets very, very dark on General Trench, because Trench is challenging him. He's like, a Jedi won't do such thing. And he's like, I do not have such weaknesses.
And cuts his arms off and then runs him through. And then gives a very Vader-esque insult. It's been a pleasure, General. And then he's out. Takes the detonator and heads back to the shuttle and everything with the Bad Batch and Echo and Rex. And he actually gives the detonator. I love that moment where he gives the detonator to Wrecker, and Wrecker's like, he's like, you mean I get to blow it up? And he's like, it's all yours, Wrecker. Honestly, that would be. I doubt if we'll ever see the Bad Batch again, but that would have been an interesting team up with Anakin and the Bad Batch and everything if they had done a longer mission. But you see how well they work together, because they are very, very unconventional in how they operate. Is between Anakin and the Bad Batch, because he's not your atypical Jedi. They are not your atypical clones. And he understands that sometimes
you have to bend the rules. Sometimes you just have to flat out break the rules to get things done.
Yeah,
And
they're like that elite squad that we
Mhm.
don't talk about and don't know about because they're gonna do we don't want to know what they're doing, but they're gonna keep us safe. And
yeah, exactly.
Anakin's kind of the same way.
hmm Yeah.
Oh, and Christina was just in here and she left, but she'll come back. Christina, come back.
So, but yeah, I did not foresee them going that dark that quick with Anakin, but I'm honestly glad they did because it does show the progression of his character within
Excuse me.
within the series. And see, some people are saying this final season is actually going to lead into Order 66. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Because I don't think it necessarily does, because I think it's going to end with the conclusion of the Siege of Mandalore and everything. And I'll be interested to see if they somehow or another, if they tie, they could potentially tie the Mandalorian into this final season if they wanted to, because it's right about this time and everything in the war that you have that flashback. I know I'm not spoiling anything at this point. You have the flashback there in the final episode of season 1 of Mandalorian, where he divulges, I think it's to the droid or to the rest of the team and everything, Grief Karga and Cara Dune. Not Cara. Yeah, Cara Dune.
Hello.
So,
Hey,
how are you?
hello. Good. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we're just
Yep.
talking a little bit of Clone Wars.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear
Yep.
you.
Good. Too slow. The sounds go too slow. My kids are driving me crazy.
So, all right. Yeah, so Christina, we're just talking about Clone Wars right now. Ambassador's
Okay.
talking.
I was bringing up the fact that they are the idea that they might tie Mandalorian into this last season of Clone Wars, because if you remember in that flashback when the Mandalorian's talking about how the Mandalorians came to his home world and everything and saved a lot of his people and saved him in particular. This could be where the Republic brings the Mandalorians in on their side, and the Mandalorians start fighting with the Republic. And the Mandalorians go to that planet wherever the Mandalorian came from. Because I don't think they ever actually say, do they? Is it ever brought up in anything?
Not as far as I know, but I'm sure they're going to tie it in. I'm sure they're going to tie it in somehow, and I'm sure they're going to. People are speculating that it's going to be tied into also with the Rise of Skywalker, and they're looking for big. Well, I mean, the speculation is that Baby Yoda is going to be. That's why they were looking for Baby Yoda, but we'll hopefully find that out.
Move it to the
I just hope that they don't try and use Mandalorian to try and patchwork Rise of Skywalker back together, because honestly, they're trying to do that with the novelization, and the novelization, for what I hear, is absolutely it isn't that great. I mean, honestly, I'm completely over Rise of Skywalker. It's done. It's over. I went and saw it once. I detested it. I'm done. We're gonna get that thing on digital, and that's gonna be the end of it. So,
well, I saw an article that someone wrote, and Google picked it up because it was my Google message that Lucasfilm and Disney is hiring people that don't know anything about Star Wars because Ray Carson said that she was so happy to see a girl Jedi. And I mean, and they're like, well, she doesn't know anything because there was Yaddle and there was Jocasta Nu, and it's like, well, yeah, but we didn't see them as Jedi. We saw an old librarian. We saw some lady just sit there. So I mean, it's one of those things that it's just like with Kennedy when she said we don't have any material to write new Star Wars from, because she was talking about canon material, not fan fiction, which is basically all Legends is.
Yeah, it's a different form of canonized fan fiction. Mara speaking.
Ambassador, grab your kitty cat because we're all showing our animals now.
No, he's in with the missus. I'm gonna let him be with mom. So, besides, he's kind of a solitary creature. He doesn't always like to be in front of people, except his mom and dad. So,
yeah, my dog. As soon as I got ready, she came and laid down next to me, and every once in a while she decides she wants to be on camera. So, but
yeah. Well, I feel like I'm monopolizing the conversation. I don't like doing that. So
no, not at all. I mean, that was good. Christina, did you watch Clone Wars?
No.
You didn't watch Clone Wars?
Not really.
That's not your thing?
Really. No. I'm still watching over and over again the last Star Wars movie just to cry all over again. So, I mean, that's all I've been watching is Star Wars for right now. Yeah, I watched some of the Clone Wars.
And then we have the so yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see. It keeps going off, so that's where it go. So our next one, that's our next one. Ahsoka befriends a pilot, and then the next one after that is Trace makes a rash decision after learning what they are transporting is for the Pike Syndicate. So,
oh, that'll be fun. Pikes are always interesting.
And that's just,
I won't lie.
That's as far as I can find those the next two, and we'll see what that leads up to.
Yeah, and I won't lie. I was honestly on the fence if I was going to be really excited for anything new Star Wars at all, but after seeing the trailer and now watching 4 episodes of Clone Wars, and even before all that, I was like, okay, this is something interesting. I finally sat down, I binged all of Mandalorian when it was finished, I think back in December or whenever. I was like, this was good. I mean, this was legitimately a good show and everything. Even if it wasn't a Star Wars show, it was still a good show, but as a Star Wars show, is it perfect? No. But it's got a lot of potential. It's got a lot of good parts to it, and they have room to grow and everything, the show. So I'll be interested to see where they go with season 2. And from what I understand, they're already starting to film season 2. So
season 2's done filming.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gina Carano.
Mm-hmm.
She was.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
She posted that she had finished, and then the next day the art director posted that he had finished, or whoever it was. So they're as far as they're telling us, they're done. Probably some reshoots and fixing things up or whatever. They're gonna do some additions in there. But that was. Did you get? I know you're not a Rise of Skywalker fan, so I'm gonna guess you didn't order it on digital.
I think we're going to order it on digital. We're going to get it on Blu-ray, one of the two, but I think we're just going to get it because me and my wife, we're both completists. If we start something, we finish it. I mean, I did my whole spiel on Rise of Skywalker months ago, and I don't really have an interest to revisit it because why retail the same soil over again? And by the way, I love the cover on your phone case. Very cool. Yeah, very cool. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very. So
that's her boyfriend.
Well, he is a good actor. He is a good actor.
Oh, he's an amazing actor.
Yeah.
And
when I say good, I mean above average. So, but yeah, the other thing that I noticed, I actually did a video on this and everything a few weeks ago, was the whole announcement of Project Luminous and the High Republic project. And honestly, I am looking forward to this new startup that we're going to be getting a brand new book in August. So just gotta wait a few months and everything. Amazingly, it'll get here quicker than we realize. So,
Christina, did you get the digital?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
How many times did you watch the movie?
I lost count already. I lost count. So
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, I was on the way home from work and I saw that it was available, and I came home and I ordered it, and I forget what it's called, Movies Anywhere. They kind of put all your digital movies together. So like I ordered mine off of Amazon or whatever it is, but whatever you order it off of, there's a few different ones. It puts them all together on like in one place, and they actually break up the like they have the movie itself, and then they have all the extras on there, like as individual ones, so I can pick which one I want to watch. Whereas when I just get it off of Amazon, it just has it as a 5.5 hour movie or whatever it is. So the first thing I did is I watched all of the extras, and then I watched the making of, and then I watched the movie, and then I watched the making of again, and then I watched all the extras again, and then I watched the movie again.
Yeah.
Well, we got Force Awakens when it finally came out because it was that good, and I watched all the extra stuff they had with it. We did not buy last TLJ brand new. We picked it up used. And I was like, I told the missus, I was like, I am not buying this movie brand new when it comes out. And it took her, for her and everything. She's a Star Wars fan, but I'm like a Star Wars mega fan. I'm like hardcore Star Wars. I grew up with this stuff as a kid. For me, it was integral to me to my childhood in so many ways. And it took her a little while. But then I finally did a video or a stream or something, and she was overhearing what I was saying, and she's like, I finally get what you're saying. She's like, I finally understand why you're so upset by TLJ and everything. And I was like, that's what I've been trying to tell you for the last 2 years, roughly. That this movie was, I think, in a lot of ways fundamentally broken. But we ended up getting a copy of it secondhand, and we have it. I tried to sit down and watch it, I think, last year. I couldn't get through the first 5 minutes. I turned off our player, and I took it out, I put it back in the case, put it back on the shelf. So for Rise of Skywalker, I had absolutely no expectations. Now, do I hate the movie? No, that takes too much energy to hate. It's easier to focus on the things you love. No, that is not me quoting Rose Tico. But I'd rather focus on the good things about Star Wars rather than focus on everything that stinks or everything that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, because you didn't like it, and I think it's my favorite movie out of all of them. So, you can say you don't like it, I say I like it, and we talk about things that we like together. And that's what makes the fandom good,
better. That's what makes the fandom better. Yeah. And I am all about trying to heal the fandom, trying to rebridge that gap between the two sides, and saying, hey guys, I actually did a video on this back last year when I first started. Well, no, it was a couple months into my channel and everything, and I called it the denominations of fandom, because I'm a I'm a seminary student. I'm studying to be a Methodist pastor, and I use the term denominations because it creates this image of an umbrella of so many different collectives of people and everything. They all may have different perspectives on one idea, but it's all pretty much they're focused on the same idea. And the argument that I have made, and a lot of people have said, hey, I watched this video, it makes a lot of sense to me. And whether you came in under the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, the EU, or whatever, the thing that ultimately boils down to, and this can be applied to just about any type of IP or fandom or anything like Star Trek or Doctor Who or whatever. There can be things that you love about fandom. There can be things that you love or hate about fandom. But the thing you have to remember is we are all still part of this community. We all still love this thing that has been a part of our lives for however many number of years. And we have to get back to a point where we can talk civilly to one another, because unfortunately, one of the things that's happened with so much advancement with technology, and particularly the internet, we are having a difficult time learning how to speak and debate civilly. I mean, we're getting better at it, but there's still a learning curve for a lot of people, and we're having a hard time acclimatizing to how we debate ideas online instead of in the same space, face to face. Because unfortunately, when you're dealing with so much technology, it kind of breaks that personal connection that you can build with a person when you're in the same space with them. And I think I just scared off your guess. I'm sorry. I have that effect on people sometimes.
No, she's been around a couple times. I don't know what's going on with her, but no, it's no worries. That's
so. And I hope I did not completely talk over your head with some of my terminology.
No,
I try not to. The basic long and short of this is, those of us that are working so much online, whether it be on platforms like YouTube or on Twitter or whatever. Oh, she said the kids are acting crazy. I understand. The thing we have to do is we have to learn how to be civil with one another again, and we need to learn how to be civil and have discourse, constructive discourse, in a virtual space. So,
but civility doesn't sell. So,
unfortunately, not. But you know what?
I could probably be making money off of this right now if I wanted to, but I would just be yelling about Star Wars and how much I hate it, and I love it. And you know, yeah. I think there's some pretty big YouTubers out there that love Star Wars, but they know if they say they hate it, they're going to make money off of it. And you know, that's just not my thing, because how long can you go on? I mean, well, obviously they've beaten the same movie for 2 years, and they're still making money off.
But here's the problem. Their base is not going to continue to grow. If anything, it's going to start to stagnate, and they're going to hit a ceiling. They're going to hit a wall, and people are going to get tired of hearing nothing but negativity and what have you. And people are going to turn off eventually. And I've talked about this on numerous streams with Lunga and with a little bit with Max and everything, and with some other people, and even on my streams that I do. The hate train is eventually going to come off the tracks, and people are going to be sick and tired of it. They are. They're going to be sick and tired of it.
Jeremy was at Celebration, walking around really happy, talking to everybody, wanting to be everybody's friends, going to going and seeing everything. He wasn't walking around saying, I hate The Last Jedi. I'm great because I hate. He left that at the door because he knew no one there wanted to hear it, and he wanted to have a good time. And everybody that knew who he was avoided him like the plague because they wanted nothing to do with him because he is completely fake. And maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's like you and doesn't like the Last Jedi or whatever. But when he was there, he didn't act like it. He didn't go around. His persona that he has, like what you see me as talking to you right now, is the same I would be in real life if I was talking to you, or when I'm talking Star Wars with other people. And it's not a show that I'm putting on, and I'm not going wham, whatever the hell he does. And
yeah, well, so, I'm the same way.
So it's like, but you put him, you put him with, so I mean, he's either completely fake to his sheep that follow him so devoutly, or he's just a fake person in general because why would you go to Star Wars Celebration if you hate Star Wars so much and Disney ruined it and everything that's there is new Disney stuff? Like, yeah, you have some older stuff, but everything that's there, everything that's being put on, all your panels, all your people, everything is new Disney stuff. So what are you, what are you there for?
Well, and I made a similar point and everything, and most everybody that has streamed with me or watches my videos, I actually did a video back at the beginning of this year, and I said pretty much the same thing. The ambassador you see in front of the camera is the same person, except for maybe a few things and everything off camera. Everything. There's no duplicity. There's no duality of my personality on camera and off. I am the same person here that I am here. I'm pointing towards my webcam, obviously.
I gotcha.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why channels like yourself, hopefully eventually like me and others, are eventually going to start to gain steam or start to get traction. Because people are going to start turning off, and a lot of the people that follow me and follow some of the others in the gray order and everything, and obviously yourself and everything. I mean, you're over 800 subscribers yourself. People are going to start seeking out more positive content and positive perspectives, and they're going to be much more interested in constructive debate and constructive criticism rather than somebody screaming into a webcam, everything sucks, everything's bad, everything that Disney does is rotten. No, not everything Disney does is rotten. They've just gotten a big hit. And now, does that suck? Yeah, it does. I remember Disney was this plucky little, seemingly independent studio who did animation and was starting to break into live action in the 80s and so on. And, well, they started to break into doing more live action in like the 80s and so on. And that was the Disney I enjoyed as a kid. And even as a young man, I loved that sort of stuff that Disney did. I loved all the live action movies that they did like in the 60s and what have you and everything. Like Mary Poppins, Swiss Family Robinson, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, all that stuff. I love those movies. That was stuff I grew up on as a kid. And for me to sit here and bash on Disney and everything now that's this great big multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation, why? I'm going to be screaming at the moon and everything, hoping it'll hear me. I don't mean to throw shade. I don't generally do this. But this idea, now do I think, let me qualify my remarks very carefully here. Do I think fan bases have a voice that can have an impact? Yes, I do. But do I think the leadership of these corporations listen as heavily to the fan base or maybe they listen to the people who listen to the fan base. Yeah, I think they listen to the people who listen to the fan base more than they listen directly to the fan base. Because I guarantee you, companies like Disney, like Warner Brothers, like all of these studios, they've got people that do a lot of internet research, and they are on Twitter, they are on Facebook, they are on Reddit or whatever, and they're following the trends, and they're hearing what people have to say, and they're taking this to the higher ups and saying, "Hey, folks, this is what the general public is saying, and this is what certain fan bases are saying, and maybe we ought to give them some. Maybe we ought to listen." And I think you see that very much now and everything with a lot of these studios, particularly Disney, because they brought back Clone Wars, obviously. They've done Mandalorian. That has been received very positively, and people are saying, "This is what we want. Give us more of this." Now, in a few weeks or however long, we're going to be having the startup of all the Disney Plus Marvel shows. I loved Marvel from 2008 to last year. Loved that 11-year run. That was a great run. It was a great story. I know some people may say that the movies can get somewhat repetitive, but I myself can always find something new in there for the Marvel movies. I can always find a little bit of character development. I can find a good story and everything. And for me, by and large, I loved what they call now the Infinity Saga. I did. Everything. I was completely bought in and everything after the first Avengers. I mean, I loved the first 4 movies leading up to the Avengers. But when that first Avengers movie hit, and I think it was 2011 or 2012, I was like, holy crap. They just hit on a gold mine here. And this movie, that movie was so groundbreaking that, of course, it's led to 3 subsequent sequels with Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and Endgame. And it has the MCU for me is probably one of the best sagas and everything I've ever watched on screen. Am I saying it's as good as Lord of the Rings or the original Star Wars? No, I'm not. But it's right up there with those two. Everything. If I were to categorize great movie series, it would go Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, MCU, or particularly the first 10 years or 11 years of the MCU. But it'll be interesting to see what we get with these Disney Plus Marvel shows and everything coming up with Loki, with WandaVision, with Captain America and the Falcon or whatever, and whatever else and everything they've got coming out. I'm honestly excited for the Eternals, which I don't know if it's been delayed because of all this mess with the virus, but regardless, this was a team and everything from the Marvel comics I was very much interested in. So I'll be interested to see what they do with it in a film version. And of course, we've got Guardians of Volume 3 coming out, I think, next year, hopefully, provided it's not delayed as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because, I mean, they're really quick. Kyle Customs said he thought that Disney was dropping The Rise of Skywalker on Disney Plus tomorrow. Not as far as I know. It's not coming out for a couple months. The digital was supposed to come out tomorrow at the same time as the book. And when they started, everyone's speculating that when they started locking everything down, that's why they released it 4 days early on digital. And they released what is that movie? Frozen 2.
Yeah.
On Disney, which was supposed to come out in a few months. They dropped that, which is completely understandable. You got kids sitting home. Put that shit out there because those kids are going to watch that over and over and over again. And it's not like The Rise of Skywalker that the majority of people are going to watch once or twice and be done with it. The kids are just going to watch that for the next year until the next thing comes out, whatever the next big one is. Yeah. So, I mean, that I can completely see, but I think it's going to piss off a lot of people if they drop the digital and then a couple days early and then put it on Disney Plus. Because why did I just spend $10 on it or $12 or $20 on it, whatever it was? But I mean, we'll see. They might drop it a little earlier too, but who knows? I mean, they want to try and get as much money as they can probably out of that digital too. So they,
Yeah.
I mean, they get that digital money and then drop it like they normally would. And the DVD or Blu-ray comes out at the end of the month, and the book comes out tomorrow. So
yeah, I've heard things about the book. I don't know if I'll pick up a copy. Honestly, I do a lot of reading for my education and everything. So any type of reading for pleasure and entertainment and everything is few and far between. Although some of my time has been freed up and everything due to the whole mess. I was taking a couple of courses this semester and everything, but I decided to drop and everything because it was going to be all switched to online. And I don't mind online classes, but for the courses I'm taking, it doesn't translate well. So I decided, I was like, I'll just drop them. I'll come back and pick them up when I can pick them up again. So I'll have some time and everything. I'm actually going to be reading a couple books. I'm going to be reading Lunga's book. I'm going to read, I don't know if this is a channel you're familiar with, Adega Outlaw.
no.
In his book. Remind me later. I'll send you a link and everything to his channel. He has a channel, and he's done a book. It's called Evolution. It's actually really, really good. If you love good sci-fi, he is a very good writer. I mean, he's
that's part of the reason I was never into Legends was because I don't like reading. So
okay, fair enough.
But now, like, I do audiobooks, and I've done all the canon Star Wars books in the last 2 years or a year and a half. I've done them all. I was starting listening to podcasts and listening to audiobooks, and then I was listening to more and more podcasts and listening to less audiobooks. So I think it's like the first year I read like 25 of the canon books. I read with my ears, so when I say read,
I follow you. Well, I'm actually
I read like 25 of them, and then over the last year I did the other 10. I just did Cobalt Squadron, but that was only a 4-hour book, so that was a couple hours at work instead of listening to when I call it rebelling. I'm not allowed to listen at work, and I never would listen at work, but if there was ever a chance that I would, you get a couple hours here and there. It's weird because it depends on podcasts you don't really need to pay attention to. It's just like your friends talking to you about Star Wars. Books you need to pay attention to. So you need I can't listen to a book when I'm on the train or walking around doing things, but I can listen to podcasts. So I have to, depending on what I'm doing, or even if I'm walking my dog down the street, I'm still, concentrating on my dog and not the book, and realize I just missed half a chapter. So I got to go rewind it or do, whatever it is. But yeah, so I only have a couple more of the canon books, and they're all the shorter ones. Like 4 hours or things like that. But
well, I will do periodically. I do audiobooks. I do like audiobooks. I don't mind having a hard copy and everything, or even a digital copy of a book. One that I'm working on, I'm actually going to pick it back up, I think tomorrow or at some point this week, is actually the Darth Plagueis book, because I never actually got a chance to read it or listen to it all the way through. And I've heard so much good about it. I know I'm kind of way behind the curve here with Star Wars stuff, but I've been busy with school, unfortunately. But I've heard so much good about the Darth Plagueis novel that I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to get, I got my free book through Audible, and it was Darth Plagueis. And then I shut off the subscription because I can't always afford that much on top of everything else that we pay for. Because we have Disney Plus, I'm considering maybe signing up for that free month of Netflix and maybe getting the cheapest plan they have, because there's a lot of good stuff on there from what I hear. Everything, especially original content and everything. There's a show that Lunga and them are covering, everything called Altered Carbon, and honestly, that sounds really interesting to me, so I might check it out. And I miss my anime. I used to be huge into anime. more of the cleaner stuff and everything. I don't mind a little bit of nudity doesn't bother me, but as long as it's not too grotesque or over the top, bloody or disgusting or depraved or anything, I like anime. So I might get back into anime. I know Netflix has a good anime channel or category on their site and everything that I can link back into and start picking up on my anime again. So the one thing I wish and everything, and I don't know, I've seen shorts on YouTube of Star Wars anime, but I don't know if anybody's ever actually done an animated series that's in the same style as anime for Star Wars. So I'll have to do some hunting. But
I don't know. But no, what I was saying before about so the only books I've read that aren't canon, I read Plagueis, and I thought that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
There was another one, I forget what it was. I don't really think I liked it that much. And then it's not a Star Wars book, but Wanderers.
Okay.
By he did the Aftermath series. Chuck Wendig.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I heard a lot of people throwing shade at him.
Well, I mean, his book's amazing. You know, he talks about politics, and you know, he's on the left side of the aisle and doesn't really care. But that's also why he's not, you know, working for Disney right now or Lucasfilm, because he's too outspoken. So, you know, whether you like it or not, that they didn't want someone that was sitting out there. You know, they don't want people that, no matter what their political views are, going out there and spewing them. And you know, he wasn't employed by Lucasfilm. He just wrote books for him. So there's a difference. And they just said, okay, well, you're not writing books for us anymore. But I wasn't a big fan of the Aftermath books, but this one, Wanderers, was phenomenal. It's probably one of the best books I've ever read. And not at all what I was expecting, but it goes along the sci-fi line.
Okay. Well, that one channel I was telling you about, Adega, a lot of the books that he's transferred over into audio and everything on his channel. Now, if he's had to take a few down, but for a very good reason, for the simple fact that some of those books are going to eventually get published, because there's been such a good response to his initial book, Evolution. And I think it's like 2 or 3 books that are within that same storyline or that same series and everything are going to get published. So, and I think you really dig him. He's very laid back, very chill. He and I streamed today and everything when I was doing my Babylon 5 review of episode 1, season 1 of B5. He's a huge Babylon 5 fan like me. And I know the TV show, and he knows the TV show and the books because he read all the books. I never had the chance to. So, I'll send you a link through Twitter and everything so you can check him out. I think you'll like some of his stuff. He actually just started a brand new series on his channel and everything. It's a brand new book and everything. It's called Children of the Directive. And he just finished one up. It was 61 chapters, and that's with a prologue and an epilogue called The Blood Witch. Now, it's not so much sci-fi. It's more fantasy, but it's got a little bit of sci-fi blended into it. And I've had a chance to listen to the biggest part of it, and dang, it's good. I mean, it's long and everything, but he breaks it down into short videos or anything that you can listen to. I think some of them are 8 to 10 minutes a piece and everything, or maybe sometimes a little bit longer. So it just... He's a really good world builder. He's a really good author. He's done. Are you familiar with Axanar Comics?
No. Nope.
I'm going to tie you into a few things. Axanar and Axanar Comics is it's a fan project that's based in the Star Trek universe, and it takes place, I think. I don't remember the exact timeline, but it takes place sometime in the I think it takes place before the TOS. the original series timeline and everything. And they've done one fan film. It's about 20 minutes long. It has a top-notch cast. It actually has some actors that were in some of the TNG episodes and everything. And it also has Richard Batch, if you know who that is.
The name sounds familiar.
He played. I want to say he played Starbuck on the original Battlestar Galactica, and he actually had a part in the reboot that they did back in the early aughts and everything. And I think he just recently, I think within the last couple of years, I think he just recently passed. I could be wrong on that, but he's a top-notch actor. And they are finishing up filming of the last 2 installments of the Axanar storyline and everything. I'll send you a link. Like I said, I'll send you a link to all this stuff later on Twitter and everything, because I think you dig it and everything, especially if you, well, I don't know how much of a Star Trek fan you are, but even if you're not a Star Trek fan, you just like good fan films and very high quality fan films. These are high quality. One of the actors.
I was never a Star Wars person, but I love Picard. And and I know like it's like with any fandom, there's diehard Star Wars fans out there that think Picard's crap, and other people that think it's amazing. So it's it's one of those things that I have a buddy of mine that does a podcast on his Patreon. Him and someone else. It's a Star Wars podcast and Patreon, but he started doing a Star Trek part on there on his Patreon. And I'm listening to it, and I'm going through watching. I'm watching the movies to get a better understanding of Picard, because I'm just going to Picard without really knowing anything. Like I know who Picard is, I know who Data is, but when it comes down to like any real details, I don't know. Like I'm that person like in Star Wars that can point out, Ronald McDonald and Darth Vader and Yoda, but can't tell you anything about them. So when it comes to Star Trek, that's, pretty much, you know how I am.
I know. Well, I watched TNG. I grew up watching TNG as a kid and everything. And I've seen all the TNG movies. They're not bad, but they're not the greatest. I'll be the first to admit. Although I'm not as hardcore Star Trek fan as I am Star Wars, but I do like Star Trek and everything. I have not watched Picard. I really have no particular interest to. I've heard some people say it's really good. I've heard some people say it's crap. But the thing with me is, one, I don't really have a vested interest to watch it. And two, I'm not paying to watch it. I'm not going to pay for CBS All Access, and I'm not going to sell the ICs. So I don't do that sort of thing. That's just a personal principle of mine. No shit. And if anybody does it, that's between you and your own conscience. It doesn't make a difference to me. But I grew up watching TOS. I love the TV show was okay. It was what it was. Now, there were some really good standout episodes. I do love the movies. I love the TOS movies. Love them to death. Even the two bad ones and everything. Star Trek Motion Picture and Star Trek V. But there are even parts to those that you can enjoy. I love Wrath of Khan. I love Searcher Spock, Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country. Great movies. Great cast. For me, the TOS cast. I'm gonna go there. I'm about to go there. I think the TOS cast in many ways is far superior to the TNG cast. So I may have just exploded several heads, but it's not that I don't think that the cast from TNG wasn't good. They are, but I think the problem was these are mostly TV actors. And sometimes you can transfer a TV actor to big screen and it works just fine. Other times it doesn't work. Now, am I saying the writing for the TNG movies was the best? No. I did like First Contact. I liked Nemesis. Insurrection was okay. Generations, again, it is what it is. You can either like it or you can hate it. Me, I'm relatively neutral on Generations and everything. Do I think it has some good moments? Yeah, but at the same time, I didn't particularly think it was the best outing for either the TOS or the TNG casts and everything. Even though it's primarily a TNG movie, you just have that brief cameo by Kirk, Chekhov, and Scotty, everything at the beginning. So, but again, if you like Picard, fine, more power to you. I think he's a good character. Do I think he's his own show? From what I hear, it's been about 50-50. Anything, but that's just going off what I've heard online and on Twitter. So
that's the thing too. I don't know anything about Star Trek, so I don't know if it's true to the character or if it was, it's holding up or how it should be. But I'm enjoying it. It's telling enough of a story that I don't really need to know what happened in the past, but they're filling it in a little bit. And so I mean, there's some things that, and I look at it the same way that I looked at Star Wars when I first started watching it. There's things I don't know, and I'm not gonna know, and I just take it that that's the Star Wars fact of it, which is what people fail to do now. And I mean, and you want to talk about plot holes? Look at the first movie and so many things, and the second movie, the original trilogy, and how many plot holes there were, and recons and things like that. But we watched it. We just took that to be that's how it is. That's the Star Wars fact of the matter. And that's kind of how I look at it now. And when they want to fill in details and do some other things, and those are just bonus. But I mean, maybe if I went through and watched all of the episodes of Next Generation or Voyager or whatever, maybe I wouldn't like it as much. Maybe I'd like it even more. Who knows? But I don't think I'm going to have the time to do that. So that's not really on my radar.
Yeah.
Unless we're locked down for another year or two. But there's enough other shows. There's enough other shows that I want to watch that I'm behind on.
Yeah.
That I haven't watched. I used to watch a lot of TV, and then I started getting more into watching more and started just doing podcasts, live streaming and talking on live streams, and it kind of got in the way of my TV. So instead of coming home and seeing, okay, what did the DVR record for me today, and catching up on whatever it is, whether it's 2 or 3 episodes or 10 episodes of something, now it's like, wait a second, I was just watching programs to watch programs, not because I really liked them. There's a few shows now that I'll just wait, and like NCIS, I really like NCIS, and I'll wait till there's 5 or 6 episodes, and I'll binge them, whether it takes me a day or two, or the Goldbergs. That was the other one that I just did, and now it's like, okay, what TV show am I missing that I haven't watched? And I might watch 1 or 2 episodes for a couple of days, or I have time and I might watch it all. But it's hard because I'm trying to fit in other things too that are short series that are coming out on Netflix or whatever it is that you binge those too or whatever. So and fit into my Star Wars and rewatching. I used to be really good at Star Wars trivia before I started a YouTube channel, and then I started making content and talking with people and listening to podcasts and stuff like that. No, I can't. One of my buddies, Trevor Beast, is he's the curator for Star Wars content quizzes or something like that on some quiz channel or whatever it is. And he gave me a test. I got 2 out of 10 on it, and I was like, dude, this is horrible. But if you would have given it to me 2 years ago, I would have probably got 8 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 on it. And it's just now I don't watch the movies anymore, and because I'm talking about it instead of watching it. So,
Well, I guess I was singularly blessed and everything because I've got one of these brains that it's like a recorder. It's like that recorder from Star Trek. It records everything. And once it's up here, once I've watched it once or twice, it's up here forever. And all I have to do is just go into my memory warehouse to quote to actually quote a favorite Stephen King book and movie of mine, and just pull the file. And of course, I'm talking about Dreamcatcher. I don't know if you remember that one or not.
Nope.
And just quickly to the chat, I hope I hope y'all don't think we're ignoring you. Kilo Customs, welcome. Ord's Boards, welcome. Good to see you, sir. Sir Nerdlot, good to see you, son. Good to see you, bud. And everything.
Oh, Ord's Boards here. How you doing?
Yeah,
Sir
he's been
Nerdlot.
here. Yeah,
I'm horrible with the chat. I don't.
You're a terrible, horrible host. Hang your head in shame.
If you want to talk to me, come on here. I hardly ever read the chat because I just stop talking and then I'll be like this, reading the chat. Okay, what's going on? So unless I catch something out of the corner of my eye, and it's really hard to read on StreamYard too, compared to other, like if I have it on YouTube, it's easier to read than on StreamYard. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm horrible at that. So. And for those of you that have been here before and know that I always say it's going to be short, and it's going to be short. Tonight's probably is going to be kind of short because I have to I still have to go through my manuals for tomorrow's exam or tomorrow's test. And I need to take the exam because I need it for work. But I was really wishing that they would just cancel it because I don't feel like, traveling into the city and going to sit down and doing all, go through the whole rigmarole and all the BS that you got to do for it. And I was just like, just go ahead and cancel it. It's, it's 35 degrees in New York City anyways. It's almost freezing. If it was 80 degrees out, okay, I'll go out in my shorts and my t-shirt. But now I got to bundle up to go, get on the train to travel into the city and everything. It's just kind of, but who knows? Maybe I'll check tomorrow morning. It'll be canceled, but yeah, I gotta get up and I gotta be there at, I gotta be there at 10 in the morning. So I gotta leave here at like 8 in the morning. Just to make sure there's no problems or whatever it was. I'd rather go. Well, I can't even go anywhere and sit down and have lunch or breakfast anymore to do it because everything's locked down. But I'd rather get there. I'd rather get there early and make sure, because God forbid, I've been on the train before when it gets stuck for 30 minutes, and now I'm out, money for the test or the exam, and then I got to reschedule it. It's not till next month, and just too many headaches. So,
well, thank you for having me on. This has been fun. I won't lie, and to everybody in the chat, thank you for coming. To those that I know and to those that I don't know, glad you were here. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you enjoyed our conversation. If I can do just a real quick plug, real quick.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going yet. I'm just
okay.
Usually after about an hour and a half, I usually start saying I'm going to be going soon. I'm going to be going soon, and it ends up being 11:30, 12 o'clock. So it's like 2 hours or whatever.
Well, I know you're an hour ahead of me, so I don't want to keep it. I know it's your stream. You run how you want and everything. But if you've got a test tomorrow, maybe you ought to get off of here and get some rest and go through your manuals. Yeah. Just saying.
I still got a couple things, but yeah, I'll give yourself a plug while you're here.
Well, I think most everybody in the chat knows me. Some may not. If you like anything pop culture from the 80s or 90s or current that ties back into the 80s or 90s, check out my channel. You can find it just by the name The Ambassador. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is in the little name card there and everything, Road5778. I will be doing a stream this weekend. I'm celebrating 230 subscribers, hopefully more in the future. And I'm going to do something special. I recently done a poll on my Twitter feed and everything asking what y'all want me to cover next, and the top result was movies of John Carpenter. And I have wanted to do a stream or videos on John Carpenter. I actually did one of his movies not too long ago. I did a review of it. But this is something that I've always loved as a kid. And as a young man, I love John Carpenter films. Absolutely did. And to celebrate 230 subscribers, I'm going to give the people what they asked for. Because I'm all about pleasing my audience as best as I can. So, but thank you, TooMed. Thank you, Condor. I appreciate it. This is again, this has been a lot of fun. And if you ever want to be on one of my streams, all you need to do is send me a tweet or send me a thing on Discord. So
I will. All right, well, you did your housekeeping, so I might as well do mine. This is episode 8, I think it is, of the Bacta Tank. Even though there's been months of it beforehand, it was kind of named. This is the 8th episode since it's been named the Bacta Tank. There was another 20 beforehand where I just got on and talked with people. But it's brought to you by my patrons. We have Mr. Rez, Kylo Customs, Kylo Ren Flores, Rural Farm Boy, and Chris from Kentucky. And if you want to become a Patreon, there's no tier set up for all good stuff. It's just if you want to give some money so that I can buy memory and cameras and whatever else I need. It doesn't go to my toys that I get. It's just for that. I'm going to be working on some tiers when I get some time off, or I'm sure it's going to slow down. Even if we don't close, it's going to slow down and I'm going to lose hours. So, I'd rather do, if they cut my hours in half and I'm working 20 hours or whatever, I'd rather do, 2.5 days than 5 4-hour days. So hopefully that can fit in. But even no matter what it is, then I'm going to have more time so I can work on some tiers. It won't be anything, big or great. It'll just kind of be, whatever. But yeah, so I wanted to say Andrew on Rebel Scum today was talking about this book. He didn't have the book. He has the digital one. And it was I don't know I think Rural Farm Boy's gone because I haven't heard from him in a while. But Andrew's big thing was how he did the same shit that people did when the visual dictionary came out for The Rise of Skywalker. And for that book, they have a timeline, which is the same way that they did for the Rogue One visual dictionary. And they redid the timeline just for that book. So it was easier to, just because you're just, instead of talking about 40 years, you're talking about 3 years or whatever it was, or whatever it happens to be. And it just made it easier for talking about it in the book. Well, Andrew got upset about this galactic map because it's so simplified. And what he's, I hope they're not changing the map and this and that and blah, blah, whatever other bullshit. It's like, no, this map pertains to this book. So the things that are in this book, that's what the map's for. It doesn't have all the rest of the planets and things like that. So it's just a simplified, there's no reason. If you want to see the map, you can find the map somewhere else. This map is just for this book, as what it comes down to. And I was hoping there were some more people from that chat in here so I could let them know that. But I'll, it's a pretty decent book. I mean, I just picture
not bad.
It's the Falcon.
Not bad.
We got that. And what I'm really hoping to do is, I'm going through the visual dictionary with Rural Farm Boy because he has a copy, I have a copy, and I have a copy on my computer. So if you don't have a copy, you can still go through it. And we're going through it page by page and talking about, not just the highlights, we're talking about everything. And so we get into conversations, we don't go through that many pages at a time. I think we've done 4 or 5 episodes and we just finished section 1. Because it's like 8 or 10 pages it ends up being about 10 or 15 minutes a page because we start talking about, this thing or that thing and whatever it is. But he had a problem. His computer broke, so he was getting it fixed, and now he just got it back today, and now he can't get his sound working. So I was hoping to get that going on. I know you're not a big fan of Rise of Skywalker, but it's like this. Anybody that wants to come on, nobody wants to talk about it. So a lot of people don't like to get on and talk because they're, they don't think they have anything to say, or they're shy, or, I don't like my own voice. So I hate editing, and I don't watch, if you tape, if I was on one of your episodes and you taped it, I probably wouldn't watch it when you replayed it because I'm sorry, not dated my voice as much as I used to, but
yeah, I know. When I first started my channel, and I'll probably want to close on this, I have heard from a lot of people that, well, not a lot of people, but I've heard from some people that I kind of am nasally when I talk, and I finally listened to myself on one of my earlier videos that I did. I was like, oh my gosh, I really am that nasally. Now, am I like Lily Tomlin from, I think, Carol Burnett nasally with that one character? No, I'm not. But I know I finally realized, good grief, yeah, I am really nasally. So, but I do go back, and it's not because of vanity, but I want to make sure I listen to live streams I am on or live streams that I do, and I try to think, okay, did I make coherent sense in anything that I said? And usually people will say, yeah, Ambassador, you made perfect sense in most everything you said. I'm like, oh, thank God. I didn't sound like a complete idiot.
Well, I know a lot of times I go on tangents and I just ramble on, and I'll talk for 5 minutes. And what I talked about had absolutely nothing to do with what I started talking about. And then I'll go back to, I'll be like, oh, wait, I was talking about that. And I'll go back to it. And people are like, oh, it made complete sense. And then I'm like, I don't think it did. But yeah, so that's about all I got for today. But I do have, of course, I have some things to open. I always have merch. So I've always had merch to open. And I did an advent calendar, but every day was a new box from Amazon. And it wasn't new stuff I was ordering. It was stuff I had laying around that I just hadn't gotten to open it because it's like, I want that. And I order it and it would sit there in the corner in the box. And the piles just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But we have this guy right here. I'm going to shrink you down for a second.
Okay, that's fine. And don't worry, I'm not giving you the finger. It's my pointer finger.
If anybody wants to come on here, let me know. Oh, I just gave everybody my address. So, all right, here we go. Another box.
Oh my goodness.
There's nobody here to say it. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Well, this guy right here is the Millennium Falcon Owner's Manual.
Yes. That is outstanding.
Because I got, which one did I get? The X-Wing? So this is all this is all the Millennium Falcon.
That is outstanding. Wow.
It's an owner's manual. It shows you optional extras, and the difference, and it showed the different types of transports. Oh, there's your Lando, and this guy here to go along with, and I'll show you real quick. Oh shit! Oh, that didn't break. I forgot to bring my award over. So all right, let's see. So This is I already had this one. This is the Starfighter one.
Nice.
And I have the cross section one.
That's a nice one.
And I looked for it really quick. I didn't see it. I didn't want to spend too much time. But they have this book. This is the revised copy.
Yeah, because I noticed that's the model from Solo.
The old one they had was a big. It's big about this size. I believe, and it's black and it's thinner like that too.
Yeah.
But they started. They made these. And then in that box too, I picked up
nice
2-1B medical droid.
Very nice.
I gotta have it because it goes along with this one, and so that's what I'm named after. So yeah, I did because I'm going to nursing school, so that's what tried to figure out like Star Wars and trying to be all creative and clever, and went with TooMedToo's is the only named medical droid in canon, and he's in a comic book and he's in a book, and he's in the Lego movie too, or Lego video game, and he ends up giving his life to save C-3PO. So yeah, but it's a really deep cut. No one knows who the hell TooMedToo's is. Because he's in 4 pages of a comic book and a couple pages of a book, but
yeah, and a couple of lines in Empire Strikes Back.
But in that he doesn't have that's just a 2-1B droid. That's not TooMedToo's.
Okay, well, it looks like the same model though.
It's the same model. They're all 2-1B droids. So there's and Clone Wars and everything. They're all 2-1B droids.
Okay.
But the one that actually has a name is
okay. I follow you now. Okay.
And so
cool. I learned something new today.
Yeah, I went for a deep cut that even huge Star Wars fans don't even really know. Because all right, we have another box here. And we kind of had to do this. TIE Fighter owner manual.
Yep. Gotta have that one.
Usually I get I probably have over 100 books on my Amazon list but I wait for them to go used. But I was feeling a little squirrely. And I just decided to get these because the one went on sale.
Yeah.
Instead of being $18, the one went for like $12. The other one was $14. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get it because by the time I wait for them to get them on, get a $3 book and then $3 for shipping and handling or $4 for shipping and handling, it's going to cost me $6 or $7 anyways. So I might as well just spend the extra couple of dollars on it and just buy them now because I've been eyeing them for a while. And I bought that other one, and I just decided I wanted these, so I splurged a little bit and got them new.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's I kind of got a thing for the Star Wars books and do a little bit of Star Wars book collecting.
Can't say I blame you.
And yeah, so and I'm nowhere near what I want to have, but I'll send you a picture later on to show you.
Cool.
What my bookcase looks like, and yeah, it's all Star Wars stuff, and it's kind of it's all the making of books and art books and one shelf, and then visual dictionaries and whatever on the other one, and then physics of Star Wars and science of Star Wars and psychology of Star Wars and another one, and then the other one is just kind of miscellaneous Star Wars stories or from a certain point of view and some other stuff that it's not they're Star Wars books. If one gets put somewhere and one gets put somewhere else, it's not really that big of a deal. You can usually find them. but it's like a couple weeks ago, Rural Farm Boy brought up the question because in the 2005 Visual Dictionary, it says that Jango Fett was a Mandalorian, or something along those lines. But then in all the other ones, it says that he isn't. So I just went through all the books that I had. I spent like an entire morning or afternoon doing like a research project and just going through and trying to find all the different things that it said. And it was left kind of inconclusive. And it's like, well, if you kind of take the old, from, and this says that it's not, but this one says that Boba Fett was raised in the Mandalorian ways. So it's like tying into, it says in the one book that Jango Fett's parents were killed, and he was then raised by Mandalorians.
Yeah.
Well, if you tie that into
the Mandalorian,
if these are Legends books, these are like the visual dictionaries, which the new ones come out and they then proceed the other ones. You take that into the Mandalorian, and Jango Fett was raised by Mandalorians. He's technically a Mandalorian if you look at it that way. But I guess it would depend on what happens in the Siege of Mandalore if they change their ways of, and why some Mandalorians take their helmets off and some don't, how everything, ties together and try and get a, but Matt Martin didn't say no, he wasn't. He kind of said, as far as he knew, he was not considered one. But that's one of the guys in the story group. But he deals more with the comic part or the cartoon part, not the actual. He's not like Leland Shee, who's the holocron keeper. Decides, okay, that is, we all decided, but he has the final say, or however it exactly works. I don't know. I don't know the bylaws of the story group.
Yeah.
But he kind of said, as far as he knows, he's not considered to be one, but take that as you will.
Yeah.
So he's still not saying he is or he isn't. He's just saying, well, he was, then he wasn't. But now, if you want to be technical about it, he might be, depending on how the Mandalorian plays out. So there's still really no answer. Yeah. So Rural Farm Boy asked me the question, and I spent the hours through all the books just because it gave me something fun to do. And I'll go through all the books. My stack of books for hours and go through it, and then it was kind of left like, well, we don't know. Kind of the same thing I said, and then Charlie Skywalker sent him a message, and Matt Martin said, well, we don't know. No one knows. It's kind of ambiguous, but
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today.
Okay.
I'm at 800. I have the giveaway going when I hit 1,000. If I hit that 1,000 before May 1st, that 10-inch Kylo Ren comes into play as an extra bonus for all of my subscribers to try and get them, tell your wife to sign up and tell your kids to sign up and whoever you see, especially you got a lot of time. I'm not doing it because I'm just trying to get my 1,000 so that, God forbid, Celebration isn't canceled, but I can live stream from Celebration. Like Lungo, I found out through Lungo because I asked him, I said, how are you live streaming when he was at C2E2? Because he was doing it through StreamYard through his phone, through YouTube. So he was getting around it that way. But for whatever reason, I know a couple of people have done it that way. The sound quality isn't good.
Yeah.
So
I've had similar problems because I've tried to stream occasionally from my phone as well on StreamYard through YouTube. It rarely ever works.
And that's my thing. I want to be able to walk around Celebration, and of course I'm going to want some time by myself and by my friends, but I'm going to want to be able to walk the floor and have people say, go here, go do this, go do that, because there's a lot of people that I'm friends with in this community that aren't going to be going to Celebration. And I want to, I'm going to be there. So, and most of them are my Patreons too. So they can say, hey, go check out this or go check out that, or do me a favor. You're not doing anything right now. Go stand here and just let us watch the cosplay people walk by for, some time. And, I mean, there was a lot of time. Now, the past celebration was my first celebration, but there was a lot of time I just kind of sat around with a group of people because I didn't feel like walking around by myself. Because I'd already done the floor once. I didn't feel like walking around the floor by myself. I wanted somebody else to go walk, because it's more fun to walk around with people.
Yeah.
And, and when you're walking by yourself, you miss a lot of stuff. If you have a couple people, and you're looking for similar things or whatever, if you're by yourself, you can walk the floor 5 times and miss the same thing 5 times. You're with a couple people, it's a lot easier to catch it.
Oh,
But, now that this way, I'll be, if I do decide to walk the floor by myself, I won't be by myself. I'll be with other people. They just won't be there. So, that's kind of my thing too. I mean, even though I was at Celebration with dozens of people last time and sitting around in groups and everything, it was just, so.
Well, if I do any cons and everything, unfortunately, the missus, she has trouble traveling because she's got knee problems. If I do any cons, I'll do the big one in Atlanta, Dragon Con, because I've heard so much good stuff about that one and everything. So I'm kind of I'm keeping my eye on that one, make sure it's still going to go forward. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it doesn't get canceled. I don't think personally it will, but I could be wrong because I can't see in the future. But
my bright idea is Celebrations the 26th, 27th, 28th, 27, whatever it is, the last 20s of August. And I was either going to go a day or two before or stay a day or two after to do Disney World or Disneyland. I never got my ticket for Disney After Dark, but talking to people, and they were the one ride isn't going to be working because they do maintenance overnight on it every night. So even for that, it's not going to be there. And I was like, do I want to go spend $150 on this ticket? Like, yeah, it'd be fun to hang out with my friends, but I have a lot of friends that aren't going to do it too, because you have 4 hours in Disneyland with this ticket. And it's like, I can be there an extra day. I mean, yeah, it's an extra day, so it's an extra day of cost, but, be there for the whole thing, or maybe do it for 2 days, whatever. But now they just canceled Emerald City Comic Con, which is the one in Seattle, and they rescheduled it for the weekend before. So if I can work it out, I can try and do Emerald City Comic Con, whatever it is, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever it is, Sunday, Monday, whatever the 3 days it is, 4 days it is. Go to Anaheim after that's over, do Disneyland like Monday and Tuesday, and then we have our house Wednesday through Monday. So add a couple days on to the trip, and maybe swing in Emerald City Comic Con. But that was my plan, and now it's all up in the air because we got to see what happens if it's an extra con ticket, which really does impact a little bit money wise, but that also depends on what happens, how long we're going to be, if we shut down or we cut our hours, or how long that happens for. So right now it's just kind of in the planning stages, but if I pull that off, that would be a nice extra. And then I figured too, if they go ahead and they end up canceling Celebration and just redoing it for next year, maybe I'll go to Ireland for the fall or for Christmas.
Hey,
and
even better. Can't be Ireland in the same at Christmas time. So
no, so I gotta I always got plans. It's just how they're gonna fall through. My worst case scenario, I'm going to Celebration. Gee, that's the worst case scenario. Well, no, the worst case scenario is that it's canceled, but I'll just if it's canceled, then I'll find something else to do. But somewhere else to go if I can get out of the country. That is, or well, getting out of the country is not the problem. It's getting back in.
Precisely, and at this point, I don't really think I want to leave the country. At least not at the moment. So,
but all right, everybody. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us on the chat. I know it's I think this is honestly the shortest chat I've ever done. Last week's was short too. It was like a little over 2 hours, this one. So at least I should be able to edit them and get them up on. It's really hard to do a group YouTube chat like this and turn into a podcast, because there's lots of times where we're talking and we're going off of visual cues from other people, and I'm looking up something on the computer, so everyone is just kind of watching me look it up on the computer and not talking, and it's like it doesn't really translate into a podcast very well. Like what you and I had today was more of like a podcast.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
cool. I think it would be more like a podcast than what my normal chats are. So I think this one will probably be able to go easily, because there's not that many pauses, there's not that many breaks, or me trying to find things on the computer and people are like, okay, and me saying, all right, hang on, and then I go and I try and find something to pull up and use the split screen, and then we're sitting there watching the screen or looking at the screen and not talking. Well, that's then trying to edit that into a podcast. People are like, no one's saying anything for 12 seconds. Like, so then you cut that out, but then you lose the context of what we were watching or what we were trying to look at. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of going through and cutting the breaks. I'm not really paying attention too much to content. I'm just trying to get the breaks out of there where there's long stretches of dead air, which it takes a long time to do, because if it's a 3 or 4 hour live stream, that's 3 or 4 hours that you have to watch.
That can be a pain. That can be a big pain. I can imagine.
If it's 3 or 4, hours of, you pretty much have to double that once you go and adding it. And if they're long breaks, it's not bad, but it's when you have a 4-second break and a 5-second break and a 6-second break, and they're all within a couple minutes of each other. Well, that takes 5 minutes to edit out. Listening, making sure you have it all good, and you don't want to. So I think I posted episode 5 the other day. I posted episode 5.
Good.
So maybe that will help too. If I'm telling everyone that I know, fucking apply for even if you're not going to Celebration, apply for a media badge, because
you could.
New York Comic, so when I went to Comic-Con, not this past year, the year before, I went to a planning session. It was at a bar. They wanted to know what people wanted to see or whatever. And I was talking to one girl. I was like, listen, I just started up. I only have about 150 subscribers. I was just like, oh, you'll never get it. They check, and you'll never get a media badge, blah, 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 whatever. Then I find out people are just making shit up. They don't even have any, they don't even have a YouTube channel, and they're saying that they do, and they're getting media badges and stuff like that. So, it's just like, I'm telling people, if you go ahead and apply for a media badge. Worst thing you do, if you don't want to sell it, give it to one of your friends. I'll take it. Give it to Lunga if he's, going or something like that. And, no, I bore you. I know.
You do not quit it. No, it's just been a long day.
But I mean, that's, I told, because Kyle Customs has a channel and he's not going. I was like, apply for a badge, dude. You do, Funko Pops and stuff like that. Who knows what they're going to give it for? And if they don't have enough Funko Pop people doing media badges, they're going to give it to you. And I'm not going to get it because they decide my channel is too much of something else or whatever. So, he's not going to go, I'll take that shit. I'll give you a couple Funko Pops. So, but all right, Ambassador, thank you very much for joining in. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. You've officially, we got tanked together.
Yeah.
You got in the Bacta tank. You got tanked. So, yeah.
And it was fun.
This is the Bacta tank. This is when you get tanked. Everybody in the chat was just in the chat. So, yeah. Earl Farm Boy tried to get tanked, but they took his ID away. And Charlie Skywalker got tanked, but tried to get tanked, but they kicked him out. And Christina came in for a little while and got tanked, and her kids made her leave. I guess so.
They dragged her home.
Yeah.
They're like,
Mom, come on, leave the bar, Mom. Don't get tanked. Stop getting tanked. But yeah. So all right, yeah, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Tell everybody to subscribe. Get me up to that 1,000 mark by May 1st, and you might be able to get 10 inches from Kylo.
Peace from the ambassador. Thank you for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks, everyone.